Welcome to SerialPodcastNine.
So, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, we're going to do the intro first, Gerard, so hit it.
Okay. I'm Gerard Peralta.
And I'm Kevin Peterson.
And I'm Ryan Benoit, and this is SerialPodcastNine, and it's an episode. Gerard, what do you want to talk about tonight? Yeah, the brass tacks episode. Actually, you don't know.
Go on. Oh, go on.
Well, okay. Well, someone did write in with a letter, and then I wasn't recording, and then Gerard got a little bit mad at me because I wasn't recording, but he had ideas for a podcast. So we'll probably explore one of those ideas. All right. But I got a question.
Many ideas.
Many ideas. Gerard, it seems like Gerard took an Adderall, and then he just fucking knuckled down.
Holy shit, that's so on the nose.
Yeah. If you've ever, Gerard pointed in a direction is a scary thing, you know, very focused. Okay.
It's not even a net anymore, you know?
Yeah. Not even a what?
It's not a net anymore. It's like an arrow.
Yeah, a harpoon even. So Pingar, Pingar, reached out and he said, question for the podcast. Didn't know where to send it since you don't have a page dedicated for the podcast. That's an interesting point, but
there's no Instagram page.
Yeah, there's no Instagram page, but there's a SerialNine page, and then there's a page for me, and then it works. I feel like, you know, we get by. But he said,
yeah.
But if you three were to start over, man, people love to write Gerald and not Gerard, which anyway, Gerald and Kevin didn't have SerialNine. What cars would you buy today for yourselves? And then he wrote, this is a good one for both of you. And by the way, your site Dodo Logic is down. Not too sure if you noticed or not. And I was like, oh yeah, that happens to me often. I'll fix that. Anyway, and he gave me a thumbs up. And then I went and fixed it. Because I sometimes forget to pay the thing on it. Because I post once every 2 years. All right. So.
Oh, dog. Dodo's dead.
Get out of here. Don't say that.
He's dead.
It's
dead as the dodo.
It's a mausoleum is what it is now.
Oh, okay.
My hopes and dreams.
It's a crypt. It's a crypt.
Yeah, and I am the crypt keeper. All right. So did we get that? If you were to start over.
Yeah, if I wasn't part of SerialNine and I just had a car, I feel like I'd probably have like a 4Runner. You know, I'd be like a 4Runner guy. I'd be like, hey, this is like a perfect all around vehicle. And I can like go kayaking or whatever the fuck normal people do.
You still do that.
Yeah. Like once a year. It's not like the thing that I do though. You know what I mean? It's
right. Okay. This is I honestly, I thought about it and then I overthought it. And I was like, if you could start over and you didn't own SerialNine, but does that just mean like, if you go back in time and you have to,
I'm not really sure.
Again?
It's a bit of a.
I feel like it's like if you were just like like
it's a bit too vague.
I feel like to me it was like if you weren't like a car person.
But we're still a car person. You're just tied to it. Like you're here because you're into cars. So you're right. Still like cars.
To it.
You're tied to it.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. God damn it. You're tied to it. That's like if you could start over, because I get into
R34 GTRs and I'd just be buying them up like a motherfucker.
I mean, yeah, I thought like, I'm pretty sure I said this before. So different ways to look at the conversation. If you could start over and you were rebuying your first car, what would you buy? If I knew what I know now, given the budget, I'd buy an 8.6. Like, what was I doing buying a Mazda MX-3? You know, like. An 8.6 would have been less money and a way better car.
Yeah.
But then I'd be a very different person. I'd be an 8.6 person.
Yeah.
So,
you know, everybody who's an 8.6 person is pretty awesome. Yeah.
Shut it, Gerard. You had a fucking European Ford. That you're going to tell us about.
I had a bunch of cool Fords.
You added the cool part. I just said European. Here we go.
I mean, the European and Ford is sort of already cool. So
if you could start over, I feel like Gerard wouldn't change anything.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I mean, even before I had SerialNine, I basically always had something crazy.
Yo, Trent came by on
But
Saturday.
it's not crazy.
But anyway, we got to talking. We're also talking about how there was like a time, sort of. I think like right when Gerard and I were like in 2010, 7 to 2010 maybe, where like Porsches weren't expensive. Like
I used to always look at Porsches at,
you know what I mean? There was
when I
like a
worked
weird time right there, and it was sort of around the time it feels like when like Mark IV Supras and NSXs and all of those cars kind of bottomed out, and even like 911s I feel were like $15,000, $18,000.
15, 20, yeah. I remember
Like-
specifically, I was looking at a 911 Turbo in Japan, and it had like a fucking Greddy T78 Turbo and some Promodet crazy intercooler and a Motec and a cage and those Brombacher work wheels. And it was like $19K. I think I remember this is when you and I were going to go to the Florida Keys and watch fucking
Jet boats?
offshore
Yeah.
racing. And I was like, I sent you that Porsche and I was like, yo, man, this thing's sick. Like I kind of couldn't buy it because I was also looking at 6-speed.
I think this car has
Dodge
also come up
Rams.
in like the Porsche episode where like you were like it was just an entire episode of Gerard looking at like Porsches that were for sale in Japan. Like,
Yeah.
yo, man, remember when you bought that one? And it was like, it was actually one figure off. Like it was, one
they had
decimal
the
place
decimal
off.
on the wrong
Like,
point.
yeah, they had the
Yeah,
decimal on the
yeah.
wrong
It was-
point. Which
I bought the $330,000 Porsche for $30,000.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, sorry, man, wrong price. Dude, I hustled so hard to get that payment to Japan.
To go through, yeah.
All right. Okay. So if you could start over and you weren't connected to SerialNine, because I guess there's that feeling that because you're connected to SerialNine, you are automatically connected to the like. Yeah, but like Gerard really spits in the face of that anyway, you know. But
I don't
And this
worry,
isn't
people. I will always be here for you and your Toyota love.
yeah,
I mean, I was into Toyotas before I was into Serial 9, so like
yeah.
I specifically started Serial 9 to improve on shitty Toyotas. So I'd probably just still be driving those cars. I just have my own that was pretty nice, but nobody else would have a nice one. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't have made
Hi-yo.
parts.
You just did it yourself and didn't sell
Yeah, I
the
just
parts.
have one cool Cressida that was super sick, and then maybe later on.
Yeah.
So I independently
What?
would have built a sick Cressida and thus met Gerard, and then thus my car would also be super sick.
There you go.
My
And then we
wheels
would
wouldn't
have
fit
formed a
properly.
company.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, yeah. So that's, I mean, in the end, my wheels on the Arista wouldn't fit. No, but this is a different question. This is a hypothetical of like time travel if Serial 9 didn't exist.
Yeah, that's what
But
I'm
I
like.
guess,
I'd probably still be into
Yeah,
drifting.
yeah.
And yeah, hard to say. Like, I definitely don't think I'd be drifting a Volvo or whatever or any of that stuff, you know?
No. In hindsight, what would you have done differently? Is there a car choice that you would have made differently? Maybe is the point of the question. And it's like Kevin said.
I
you
feel
know,
like if in hindsight, I would make 1,000 decisions differently, you know?
but only purely, but it's the sports almanac from Back to the Future too.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not making it out of love, like out of like passion or like interest. It's
Well,
like,
no, I
if
feel
I
like I
knew
could have
what
done
I
that.
knew
No, I
now.
feel like I could have done that too, though. There's all these decisions where you're like, well, that was the wrong decision, or like, oh, if I would have made that decision, I could have gotten to this place quicker or easier or with less
Right.
heartache or whatever, you know? It feels like if
Yeah.
you know the roadmap, you avoid all the fucking pitfalls. But and it's like I've
Don't
said that
learn the
before.
lessons.
It's like my buddy's younger brother. Like we all had cars. Matt and I were the most into cars. My buddy was into cars. Everybody else in the crew was into cars, and he had a younger brother, and the younger brother's first car was like 9 out of 10. You know, because
Right.
he just had this almanac and this roadmap to follow, and everything to do, and just do these 7 things. And those are the most important. And don't do anything else, and it's gonna turn out sick, you know. And that's what happened.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Every generation now has that. And I realized that the other day in doing media.
Touche.
Because it's like, oh, to be into media when I started meant something different than to be into media now. And same with people building cars. There's still pitfalls and like lessons that you learn, but like the room for growth and the curve, upward curve to success just seems more like not exponential, but like there's way more room than there was before, you know? Yeah.
Way more room to go up.
Yeah, there's way more room to go up. There's way more room to succeed. There's way more room to like really hone your focus. Because you're like,
now you sound like one of those boomers where it's like, well, I had a hard time, so you got to have a hard time.
I don't think anyone should have a hard time. I don't think that. I think it's great. I love where things.
I think people should have a hard time.
Well, okay. Do you actually think people should have a hard time?
I just posted this thing on my story today where it's just like, yo, like how do you get into the automotive industry? And it was just like, I don't know, find someone in the automotive industry and just go hang out there and be helpful and hang around and fucking learn from what they're doing and learn from what, like, you know, that's how I learned.
Right.
That's it's just like be in a room where you're the dumbest person and you're going to learn something, you know?
Yeah. I feel like this conversation has turned a bit away from the question, but I do like the direction of it because it's very far.
It's very far from the question.
Well, I can't even answer the question.
Can I just sprinkle in a question?
Yeah.
It's not even a question; it's a comment, and it was from Steven, and he said, "Hey, I'm a new listener here. I just want to say I'm a fan of the long format episodes. You guys blathering over the top of each other and going on tangents and discussing various drifting and Toyota topics is why I'm here."
Oh, there you go. Some people like it, right?
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is I do. So what did we talk about?
Thanks, Steven.
It has to be hard. Okay. So in today's day and age, everything's fucking given to you. Basically, if you can't build a cool car with all the information and all the resources and all the shit that you have today, sorry, like, you know, but also at the same time, there is so much information. There's so many resources. There's so much misinformation and so many poor resources that maybe it is easy to build a shit car or to maintain your car shittily or to do anything not well because
absolutely
you don't know who to listen to. You don't know what I mean? You don't know the true experts. I mean, realistically, in the car space, if you will, it's not like you can have professional, like really sound professional advice for certain things. It's not like the fitness space or like the fucking mindfulness space where, like, you know, you can go on, there's probably thousands of fitness podcasts and like you can probably look at the stats of each podcaster and be like as far as not the podcast, but like what they
but I feel like also like some of that stuff is like completely foo-foo as well, though.
That's what I was. That's where I was just going with that, though. I said you don't,
especially those two subjects specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but within that, like if you did your research, you would find someone who has a reputation, who has been successful, and who has, you know, there are people that do it properly and that are professionals and that are, you know, experts in their field, and you could follow or listen to them. You know what I'm saying? But like in the car space, let me just finish. In the car space, there's a bunch of fucking shitty podcasters, like lower level dudes that like us that sort of just stammer about and, you know, make a cool podcast, have a couple of but there's not a whole lot of, there's probably a very small number of high level professional podcasts, like say like EFI 101 or like, I don't know, some suspension guru people. Like, I mean, there's also probably like a fairly small amount of people that would listen to something that sort of technical and high level. Yeah, maybe there just needs to be like actual basic podcasts or basic information by professionals. Like, you know how many fucking times people ask what oil to run? And then how many, in the response of that is how many people telling you to run a bunch of crap or a bunch of like what they thought is the best because somebody told them that 6 years ago when that oil was like the newest.
But also, I mean, like the oil I'm going to tell you to run is like very specific for like what I do with my motor and how I use it. You know what I mean?
I mean,
like,
that's
the oil I run isn't the oil you should run, you know? Like,
yeah. How about this? Put some fucking oil in the car. Best type of oil to run is fucking oil. Like how
Yeah,
many
but I
times
mean
have
that's
you and I
not true though either. Like it's like some old boy who's just always had like an American V8, and then he gets the fucking RAV4 as a daily, and is like, oh, I'm just gonna put the 1030 in. What the
No,
fuck
but
is
what
this?
I'm saying
What the fuck is this 020 shit? And then he like fucks up his motor. You know,
But what I'm saying, how many times have you or I or anybody listening to this podcast has not had the proper amount of oil in the fucking car? Me, even as a professional, I don't have time to check my fucking oil all the time. And then all of a sudden my engine's burning more oil than I thought. And I haven't checked it in 1 month or 2 months or 6 months or a year. And I look and it's like, oh shit, it's like I actually needed 3 liters of fucking oil. It doesn't matter what kind of oil you need to run at that point.
okay, that I mean, that is 100% a very, very valid point. That like checking your oil is way more important.
Step 1, check the oil.
Check your oil. Yeah, I just nuked
Okay.
the
That
engine of my
wasn't the
motorcycle.
question, but I love it.
Yeah.
You just nuked the engine in your motorcycle?
Yeah. Well, I didn't
Really?
just do it. I did it like 2 months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Perfect example. Kevin, like a very steadfastly like maintenance oriented guy. Like, you know, he goes to these drift events, like literally could probably write down every fucking thing he brings to a drift event many times over. You know, he's got every tool for every job. He's got every scenario planned out in his head. Doesn't check the oil on his motorbike. Like it happens, man.
Yeah.
Even my truck, daily driver, normal ass truck. You know, it's the truck that I bought to just be like, hey, this is, you know, I hop in, I drive it. I mean, you know, it's got like an oil change maintenance schedule within the truck somewhere.
Computers,
and I've said before. Yeah.
Yeah,
like,
I did
it doesn't tell you.
Yeah,
like,
I did it.
hey, why don't you check it after 2,000 or 3,000 K? Because, you know, this thing burns a bit of oil. And like when you check it, it needs 3 liters out of 6.5. So like, that was cool, you know? And that's the second time it's happened in that truck. Remember when we were off-roading that time camping? And I was like, oh shit, there's no oil in this truck.
Yeah.
Shame on you there.
To me,
pal.
I was like, yo, this like the motorcycle, I'm like, it's a 2018.
Right?
Like
Yeah.
it doesn't lose any oil. And like how
And
much
it's a motorbike. Motorbikes
how
don't
much
inherently
could
burn
it
oil.
possibly burn? It's a 2018.
Is
You
it
know what I mean? Like how much could it
Is
burn?
it a Toyota?
Apparently a lot. No, it's a Suzuki though, which is like
Oh.
in my opinion, like equal level almost. You know?
Oh. Wouldn't Yamaha be the equal? Anyway, what do I know? I don't care.
There are some
And even
Don't
like
answer my question.
way back in the day in my Pinto, I was like,
Oh.
I always knew when it needed oil because the
Yo.
fuel economy was so bad.
Dude,
It's
that'd be
just like,
like that'd be my 3TC. I'd be like, yo, I got like
could
really
watch the
poor
fuel gauge
food.
go down on my
Yeah.
drive, and I'm like, man, this thing's fucked. And then I check the oil,
Yeah.
and it's like down like 1.5 liters. Like, you know, and this is like a 1976 boat anchor shit.
Or when you like rip it around a corner and the like fuel light like fades on. You're like, oh, okay.
The oil light, you mean the oil light?
Yeah. Sorry, the oil light comes on slowly.
That's
yeah.
how I found it in the truck. I did a hard stop, the oil light
Yeah.
flashed, and I was like, what the fuck? Oh no, actually the oil pressure, because as a gauge, it dropped.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh.
what the like, what was that?
Yeah.
We've very far deviated from the original question, which is fine.
Well, I feel like
Gerard-
halfway through the deviation though, we camped
We got
out
to the
on a
thing.
comment that said, I love when you guys deviate. So
Yeah, that is good. But it stands in contradiction to everything Adderall Gerard laid out for me. No, but here's the thing, Gerard, to go back before the point of this was to check your oil. I don't think.
hey, everybody
and you
listening
kinda
right
touched
now,
on-
pull over and just check your oil.
check your
Or
oil.
if you have a
never know.
BMW, hit that.
Just put
hit that
oil in
button
it.
2 or 3 times. No, because it's so easy in the BMW. You hit 3
Until the
little
sensor
taps.
goes out, which is
I mean,
currently
so
very
change the
If you have
common.
a
Sensor, it's
BMW,
like $30
just
bucks.
pull over and put oil in it.
Yeah, basically, it's already leaking. We know it.
Yeah, I think that it is hard. People building stuff have their own challenges.
Beg your pardon?
Yeah, what did I say?
Oh, we're back to how is it hard or easy to build a car these days? With
Yeah, well, I don't want to keep talking
Oh.
about how to change your oil. I don't know, unless you want this to be the
when's
oil.
the last time you
change
changed your oil,
episode.
Ryan?
Yeah, when
And
was the last
what?
time you changed
How many
your oil?
times have you changed your own oil?
A bunch. I'm from the
Yeah,
prairies.
let's talk about that. Who likes changing oil? I fucking hate it. If I could pay
Not
somebody to
me.
do it, I would.
I don't
but I
do
can't,
it here
'cause then It's
now.
gonna screw your car up. Just screw my car up.
I pay people here to do it.
I mean, also
do it
though, if
well?
you screw your car up though, like you're probably getting a brand new motor from Nissan, which is like you're
Oh.
better off anyway,
Me?
or whatever.
Or
Yeah,
they?
you.
Oh, like if I pay Nissan to change my oil?
No, or you pay Jiffy Lube to change the oil on your QX.
Like, I don't know.
If they
like
leave
go through that, but you know what I mean.
If they leave the drain plug out, like
yeah, you get a new engine.
Yeah,
you should be praying for that.
No.
You know
how much hassle that'd be. You know how much downtime. You know how many fucking phone calls you'd have to make. Fucking
you
emails.
have 80 cars, it would be fine. New Gerard, this harpoon version of you could handle it. No problem.
I feel like you just go down there and cause a scene, call up some sort of investigative journalist. Yeah,
I worked with a guy, the oil change place fucked up his engine. And I just went to insurance and their insurance had to cover. They ended up writing his car off because it was so shitty. But
it's happened, You go to oil change and your car gets written
when it
off.
starts knocking, I'll put a bunch of shitty oil in it, take it to Jiffy Lube, be like, hey, I need an oil change. And then hopefully they fuck it up.
No, you need it to be like, I left and there was no oil on the car. But you got to be able to prove that, right? Like, I just left and there's no oil on the car. Do we really want a whole episode about changing oil? You want to ask me about when I changed oil?
Portion. How many people have sucked their oil out of the fucking...
How many people have
never done that? I always want to
get some oil change.
What if, like,
I'd rather suck a dick than change my own oil, okay?
And on that fact, why are JZ oil filters so shitty? Sorry, Ryan. Who hates changing JZ oil filters?
I mean, it's not that bad.
Anyways, okay, let's go. So, information today, building a car. If you can't build a car with today's information,
would be hard.
You kind of fucking suck.
Yeah, I mean, what is a trusted source? There is no. I don't even know what a trusted source looks like right now.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I would be like, Gerard is a trusted source. Actually, you and Kevin are both trusted sources. And Kevin just finished saying he would perform fellatio for free oil changes. So I don't know what to believe. I don't know. Up is down, down is up, left is right. Cats and dogs living together in perfect harmony.
I do spend some time on the forums they're not called forums, in the groups, JZX, IS, whatever it may be. And I do my best to provide information when there is misinformation being sort of broadcasted or distributed. There is always some sort of, let's maybe say, less informed answers. And I always do my due diligence to provide my knowledge, if that's
I see when you do it. I get updated when you do it. And let me tell you, the other side of that is that there's somebody else that is like bizarro you, not actually bizarro you, but they also feel like I've done my due diligence and I've never heard of this guy and I'm going to go up against him and I'm going to give this person. They feel just as adamant about the wrong information as you do. Yeah, and it's stronger than ox about the bad information I'm about to give you. And they're shouting, who the fuck is you? Now, the only reason I think this actually works for you, Gerard, is because more often than not, a lot of people come in and be like, oh, that's Gerard. He knows what he's talking about. Like, well, I mean, I've seen the ones where people do that. They're like, oh, the guy, Gerard spoken. But also Gerard just gets into
like a paragraph of knowledge that
is
like, has like a tinge of like arrogance.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, you can believe whatever you want, but this is what I'm going to tell you. And this is the truth. And here it is, Well,
also the thing is too, is in my world, when I sort of look for information or look for trusted sources, if you will, you just look at what they've done. Like if if some guy's giving you a bunch of information on on Facebook, go to his profile, go to his whatever. Like, does he build cars? Does he do this for a living? Does he know about suspension? Does he have any experience? Like, I mean, shit, we've been doing this for like damn near 2 decades. I've built countless cars. I drive the same cars every day, or not quite every single day, but like for the most part, you drive your car all the way across the country. You drift your car nonstop. Like, I think we know a thing or two. I think we have some expertise in the area. So it's like, you can listen to us or you can not listen to us. But like, probably if you don't know a whole lot, I would listen to the people that are sort of doing the thing. It's like, you're going to you're going to listen to an engine builder that's like, has an engine, like has a machine shop and has a reputation building racing engines that win races, or you're going to listen to some fucking dopey idiot on the internet telling you that like ring filing is bullshit, or like you should, this head gasket works on that because like I did it in my garage and it works fine. And he literally just finished assembling that engine, has never even driven it, but he knows everything. You know what I mean? Like it's not like that.
I get it. I'm just going to do a little quick assessment here for you though. I just went and looked at your Facebook profile page.
Mine?
And I was like, if I didn't know Gerard, be like, well, this guy fucking drifts a 161 and it looks dope. That's a great, there's a photo. And then he's a family man, loves to wear a white tee, loves a white tee, loves his wife. He's got this fucking guy drinking a beer in his profile photo who tags him in a bunch of shit.
Who is that?
Loves his fam. Me. It's me. I tag you.
Oh, okay.
Like if I go down your page on it, and I'm not trying to be shit, but like if I were to look, if I didn't know Gerard was SerialNine, if I didn't like then actually click
but it says right there, I own this shit.
Yeah, but if I don't know anything, I own
say that.
It says works at SerialNine. Buddy, somebody's in charge. But I'm just yeah.
Anyways, go on. Sorry. Go on.
No, I'm just saying, like, you would have to do more than one to two clicks to really figure it out, right? Like, you would then have to watch.
Like a real family man.
Yeah, this guy loves his family. Here, I'm going to paint you a picture. I don't know you. I'm clicking on this thing. It's like, man, this guy fucking lived, and now he loves his family and his glory days, and he's just going on the internet fucking telling people how to do the things that he's not doing anymore.
Here,
I know that's not the case.
Check it now.
If it says own,
refresh it.
Oh, now you just changed your profile photo or your
no,
banner
it says
photo?
Owner of SerialNine Manufacturing Incorporated, builder of sick cars.
Where?
I'll put a creditable resource.
Where are you putting it?
Blue star.
Intro. Oh, you put an intro. I still just see works at SerialNine. I didn't even read the intro because I'm looking for all the easy picks. Anyway,
there.
I get it.
This is builder of sick cars, very credible resource. Share now.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, that's
great. Did you see it though right now? See if it works.
Now I can. I wasn't reading the intro before.
Well, it wasn't there before. There was no intro before.
Okay. All right. Great. Okay, so now I got to go click on what now, say I'm a noob and I don't know what SerialNine is. Now I got to go, but that's not a clickable link. The other one is. Okay, so I go to SerialNine. Now I go there. Oh, they have parts. And because I'm illiterate, I think this guy just works there. He works there and that's a selling point. But we both all know that the internet doesn't work that way and people just argue with each other on forums. So the original point is that I think it is still tricky. Like things are still hard for people. They're just not the same like struggles that probably we came up against and then what the generation before came up against. Even if you go back to media, like looking at car photography from the 70s and 80s and even the early, like the 90s, I can't even imagine what it would have been like to shoot on film all the time. Like the way that people shoot now isn't really conducive to that. So, things get easier, but then now the pool for people that do it is way bigger. So to get noticed is way harder. But anyway, so
yeah, because the barrier entry
that's definitely that's definitely truth. I feel like you could. It's like they give you. There is so much information available that like you could literally build any style of car easily, but somehow people still manage to fuck it up.
I mean, I feel like the other thing is like take cars out of the equation. Just like misinformation is prevalent. Like
yeah.
You know what I mean? How many times do you read like, hey, what oil do I put in my NA2J before you're like, put fucking coconut oil in there, man? Like, I don't fucking know. Like, who cares? Like, shut up. Like, you can't figure this out yourself. Like, and now you're part of the misinformation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the world itself. I think we've talked about this, and maybe never on the podcast, and that's fine. But I'll say it. There was a point probably like 2 years ago where I was just like, I don't even know what truth means anymore. And without diving into it too deep, Gerard, you and I are two grown, literate people who can think critically, but have very different opinions on a lot of different things outside of cars. And we have different.
I should stop you right there and sort of touch on that.
Yeah,
point
you're not grown.
Brian, you're illiterate.
The problem is, listen. No, this is actually, I think, a really good point. The problem isn't the information. The problem isn't the misinformation. The problem is the person behind the screen or the whatever phone who can't critically think. So maybe step one to building a car is don't be an idiot. Like figure out what's right, figure out what's wrong, figure out how to critically think. Like, should you listen to this guy? Should you not listen to this guy? What do I want out of this car build? Like, how do I want my car to look? How do I want my car to drive? Like, it's a very toxic place, all these sort of like groups and stuff. And the more people that come in, and it's honestly pretty brutal, this whole like elitist attitude that like people sort of adapt once they, there's always like you said, the big dick swingers when they've figured out what oil to run. They bought the JZX. They have coilovers now, maybe a 2-way, and they've hit 2 drift events, and now they're fucking experts. And now they can talk shit to the GX guy. Now they can talk shit to the new JZX owner that doesn't know what LSD to buy. You know what I mean? And then, And then once that new guy figures out the shit, and then guy A is now, he's got aero and he's got paint and he's got a, turbo upgrade. He's dick's bigger. He's swinging bigger, and he could talk more shit, and it's like,
yeah, but now there's that guy's, now there's a guy who's built like 3 cars, and he's been in it for so long where he just like can't be bothered to like type anything out on the internet.
Right.
And like that's the guy who actually knows, and that's the problem. That's the thing. I know that it is the problem. You're not helping.
That is a problem too, right?
I know that, like, and that's me.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
That's why, like, you're always like talking on the internet and stuff. It's like, I feel like it's our duty, man. Like, if we're not going to do it, who the fuck is?
The
person.
Like,
there's going to be a whole generation of people that sort of don't know anything. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think the other part of that, to be fair, is that every generation, especially in the car world, is like shitty to the one coming up. And so when the one coming up figures out their shit, as soon as they see the new guy, they're like, I'm going to be a bit shitty to them. And now those people could write it off as like, that's how you earn your place, or, like you gotta start somewhere, and we're going to shit on you a little bit and it'll make you tougher in the long run. And maybe that's true. I don't know. But yeah, there's definitely like probably a bit of a cycle of car guys being like, well, people were shitty to me, so I'm going to be shitty to the ones that don't know, because now I do know, and that's how we treat people that don't know things.
And I mean, maybe that's the struggle too, is maybe all those people, including kind of what Kevin said, is they want the fucking noobs to struggle a bit to sort of get to where they're supposed to be. Or like, remember, like JZX was the worst for that. They're like, oh, like, you don't know anything. Like, we're just going to berate you and treat like absolute garbage until you leave. Until you either leave or like sort of
figure it out,
something that's relevant.
Well, remember the other one was like Cressida.net, and that was just literally like doilies and what oil do I put in?
So bad.
Yeah.
But the thing that always struck me as sort of really idiotic about JZX project was like there were all these guys that like thought they were the kings of Cressidas, but only like 4 of them have ever done anything cool. You know what I mean? It was just a bunch of like circle jerkers. And then, Brian, who started it, he, did he was the first to do a Jay-Z swap. And then there was like Amin who was drifting. There was me, there was you, there was like probably that Oreo freak guy. There was probably like maybe 5 to 10 relevant people and a whole bunch of like tire biters. And I mean, that's really the same thing as all the forums, right? Or what? I keep saying forums, but you know what I mean. The groups. There's a
Forums are dead.
I was gonna say they were forums though. Those were forums, but
Yeah, those were forums. These are what I'm talking about is groups. Sorry, my bad.
So the answer to what car you would know.
Forerunner.
Thanks for the the segue question. We didn't answer. But I mean, that's the thing is, even before I had Serial 9, I just had all these fucked up cars. I had the Cortina, I had the Pinto, I had the Capri, I had what the fuck? I had the Volvo, I had the Civic, like a 400 something horse turbo Civic. Aero, Defi gauges, carbon fiber.
I kind of feel like I thought about this the other day. Sorry to cut you off, but I feel like maybe I would just have one car and it would just be like an all around overall less modified, but probably super clean, very nice car.
I can't see that.
No.
That's just not the kind of person you are. I don't think, man. You'd still have just like a bunch of shitty cars.
But if I didn't have the shop though, I couldn't have 5 projects. I would have to have
okay, but you might have 2 or 3. But even before you had the shop, you had like this AE and that AE.
Yeah, but I lived at home,
AE
so there was I lived at home, so I had like a garage and a side yard and a backyard and a a driveway, and you know what I mean. Like I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. I have to park I'd have to park 2 cars or 3 cars or 4 cars insured out on the street. Yeah. So I feel like that would just translate into having one more nice car. One nice car. Or
what is the most amount of cars you've ever owned at a time?
Probably like
Kevin
6.
or me?
Both of you.
Both for sure, but I don't know.
Oh, I don't know, man. I mean, just recently
2 BMWs.
2 BMWs.
Two Nissans you don't drive. The Nissan you do drive.
G35, the Blit.
The 100 and the other 100. Did you ever own?
No, I never had the 2 100s and the 2 BMWs.
And the 2 BMWs.
I had 7 cars.
7 cars.
And the motorcycle. So I mean,
so you count Kevin's got a motorcycle, a scooter.
Yeah, exactly.
A Dyna. The Echo is out there still, or is that
Echo's gone? Yeah.
Like 3 Crowns.
From whence it came. But one of the Crowns can't be insured. So
I didn't even count that one. Oh, did I? Yeah, I did. Actually.
Well, that's 3. Yeah.
Crowns. Yeah, sorry. 2 Crowns. 1 in transit.
Yeah.
Pink car. Well, I said Dyna. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no. It's all right. Well, that's a lot of cars.
Guess we've talked about this before.
Well, it's funny because it's like, I feel like I owned more cars at one time than like my sister's owned in her life, or that, like, you know what I mean? Like,
easy.
Yeah. Which is a funny thing between car people and non-car people.
It's always a joke.
It's just like I've owned like 50 cars or something, or like more. I don't even know at this point.
I'm pretty good. I could tell you all the cars that I've owned.
But it's funny, even you as like, I guess, a car guy, but not a totally car guy, you've had 2 or 3 cars at one time.
No, I've never had more than
building cars. No. You have 3 right now.
You had the Aristo and the Forerunner and the Prius.
Yeah,
so
but
3 cars at one time.
The Forerunner.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is at one time, you yourself have had 3 cars. It's not common for people to have 3 cars.
No, I know. Even in Regina, at one point I had a 180.
I feel like maybe it's more common there where you're going to have like a specific winter car.
Yeah, I had a 180, the Avalon, and then a Datsun B210 that sat on my parents' driveway.
You had a D210?
Yes, Gerard.
What fucking year?
As a part-time car guy.
No, but I mean, like, when did
we call them tourists?
Yeah, as a tourist, I had a B210 that I fiddled around with, but never really had anything happen with it. I don't know, like a 70 something.
Yo, that's sick. Those are dope. Was it the square front end one or like the earlier one?
I'll
find you like the rubber ugly bumpers.
Honestly, I don't even remember Datsun B210. It was a coupe. It wasn't a hatch.
Sick.
Jesus, it's probably like a 1976.
Oh, that's
right.
Sick.
Yeah, I got it for free. And like it was and it's funny, then I just gave it to another friend because I got it for free, but like I just never got it to like a point. The floorboard was like Flintstone style, like you could put your feet through it, so that needed to be fixed. It was an auto. The fuel lines needed to be run. It needed carbs. I bought carbs and I put them on. Like, yeah, you could like just straight pour gasoline into the carb. The fuel pump wasn't pulling or whatever. It was, I don't know. It was a long time ago, and I didn't really like try
That's
too hard with it.
Pretty involved car for a part-time car guy.
Well, you called me a part-time car guy, and
I didn't call you a part-time car guy. I was just like it's not. I just meant like you're not building cars like Kevin and I. You're into cars and you have cars, but like
there's all different types of car guys, you know.
Yeah,
I will say
there's 9 types.
There's 9 types. Check that episode. It's one of our highest rated episodes. Yeah, I don't know. It is funny because having this conversation, I was thinking today. I don't know if this will go anywhere, but I'll say it anyway, and you can figure it out. It's funny because like Mooneyes as a brand. Oh, I know why I was thinking it. I was edited in the video, and like Gerard's amped on Mooneyes. I like Mooneyes. Kevin likes Mooneyes. I was watching a donut video. Like one of the guys at Donut is wearing Mooneyes, and you go to a drift event, people are wearing it. And I just thought it was like such a funny thing that like it's the hot rod culture of what that is. And I know it has ties to Japan, has like kind of wound its way into our kind of car scene. And then I was just thinking, it was like, is that just because like we've gotten older and then now we just see everything as hot rods? Like before there was that thing where it was like, oh, fuck you, racers. Like the old guys used to say that to us. But now we're just the old guys and we can be like, yeah, it's kind of like hot rod culture. And I mean, honestly, we've made a pretty strong argument over the last few podcasts for how import car culture has like slowly turned into hot rod culture, or all encompassing, I guess. Not that it's exactly the same, but like there's kind of an umbrella term there. Or
like, you mean how it's like pop culture?
Yeah, we can like a little bit. I don't know. This is very hard to explain. The fact that we've gotten old enough and refined our taste enough and think about it that we can lump Mooneyes in to still apply to our scene because there are ties to it and we can all draw it back.
I feel like I thought Mooneyes was cool before I thought drifting was cool, though.
Okay. I'm saying as a whole, though, like I said, I was watching Donut Mania, and I'm not saying like you, Kevin. I'm just saying like as a scene, if I go to a drift event now, I see more Mooneyes stuff now than I did in the past.
Yeah.
You know, like when
it's because we're pushing that cart, buddy. It's all because of us. It's you out there wearing the Mooneyes flannel nonstop.
Can't get enough of the Mooneyes flannel. I do love Mooneyes. Fucking
dude, I'm gonna build. You're gonna have a Mooneyes casket if I'm still alive.
You know why? You know I'm going first.
And Jody isn't.
Yeah, and she's not. Kevin's in charge.
If I'm in charge of your funeral, yeah, you get in the Mooneyes casket. It'll be the 2 big eyes, you know.
Yeah, like we talked to Buddy out at Villains, and he was wearing the faction T-shirt.
Yeah,
and the Mooneyes hat. You know, like when we were in Arizona, we talked to people, and I was like, yo, I like your shirt, and the dude was like, yeah, I got in Japan. I was like, that's a flex. That I didn't ask for. But on the other side of this, I've been harping on it a lot, and I know, and I'm not going to do it anymore, but I messaged Kevin yesterday to be like, yo, the barista at the hipster cafe I'm at is wearing an R34 t-shirt. And I'm not doing that. I'm being like, oh, what's like the hot rod-esque thing that I can like attach to, I guess. I don't know. Anyway.
But maybe, now
we've shifted to Mooneyes.
No. Now I feel at the very end there. I feel what you were saying, Ryan, and now I get it. Because now it's like, if I have the Zoomies R34 shirt on, that doesn't denote that I am into cars. Really, that just denotes that I'm into fast fashion. But if you have the Mooneyes shirt on, that perhaps it's like it is acceptable car culture wear, but only for people who are actually perhaps into car culture. Whereas the
Yeah.
the stuff that you could get at Zoomies, it's like, oh, my aunt bought this for me, or like, oh, like, you know,
Right. Or I don't know, but
I bought it at Forever 21 because that's what they had this fall for T-shirts.
and then and that is what it is. There's like a lineage of car culture tied to it for a long time. Maybe that's exactly what it is.
It's
like
pre-existing, man. It predates drifting. It predates import cars. It predates anything.
It
And
almost like
it's
predates
basically-
Hot Rod. I mean, it doesn't predate Hot
Yeah.
Rod because, but it's from like, you know, after World War II when they're running like the bombs as fucking top speed cars at Bonneville.
It's kind of like in my world, it's like you want to be into a brand. Like a lot of people want to be into brands, and like some people, like, you know, there's Carhartt and fucking Doc Martens and like a lot of old brands and shit, right? But like this brand has been associated with cars and car culture since inception. In fact, probably is born out of cars and car culture. And somehow, once it got attached to Japan, whenever the fuck that was, it then became mainstream attachment for import cars, for drifting like for people that are into Japanese cars. Like if there was no connection of Japan and Mooneyes, I think it would be a bit less cool.
I agree.
Totally.
I do agree. That's the thing.
I like how our podcast has now shifted to like the relevance of Mooneyes.
No, I mean that's what I mean. That's kind of the
too.
Yeah, that's the sickness of it. It's just an ever-flowing snake.
Yeah.
Because Cedric, one of our former guests, was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, would you like Mooneyes if it wasn't tied to Japan?" And I had to be like, "Huh."
Oh, he said that?
And
that's a great question.
And I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, actually, probably not. There's other American car brands you can wear, but the fact Mooneyes has ties to Japan,
it's so interesting. I almost feel like I feel like the Japanese person who bought Mooneyes like realized the importance and the essence and the coolness of Mooneyes, because it's like I feel like Mooneyes is a little bit more brand heavy and selling their name on stuff now. But I mean,
they still have parts, but yeah.
No, totally. They still, that's what I mean. They still do all the spun aluminum, fuel tanks. They do gas pedals. They do the moon discs. They do all sorts of shit. But
I mean, who's buying that shit? You know what I mean?
Hot Rod. Yeah, Eric's buying a Mooneyes steering wheel for his Impala.
How many flannel fucking shirts do they sell for one steering wheel?
Okay, yes. Okay.
You and I both know that's what they're making these days.
Yes. No, I agree. But it's like, I think they were already making that stuff before a little bit. And it's like, I don't really think too many other American car brands, like Edelbrock doesn't have a fucking line of cool merchandise.
That's also because Edelbrock's not cool.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. And it's like, did the Japanese brand buy them and make them cool? No. The Japanese brand bought them because they were cool.
To be fair, it says that this happened in 1987. So like the run-up time for Mooneyes to get to this point is still like pretty, and like they're doing
that means
collaborations.
my entire 1 year out of my entire life were they US owned. So like basically everything I've known about them has been under Japanese ownership.
Yeah, it is wild. I mean, they do the collaborations with bands every year for the Hot Rod show in Japan. They do the Loser Machine collaboration.
So one thing I will say is I think like maybe that has a huge thing to do with how they're culturally perceived. It's like if you're doing collaborations with like somewhat perceived like popular yet underground clothing or shoe brands or skate companies or then it's like having a guest on your podcast. It's like, oh, like who's Mooneyes? But like I love Vans, so now I'm going to buy this Mooneyes Vans collabo, and all of a sudden you have another customer or another person who eventually might become like a zombie to your brand.
That's me. I'm the zombie to the brand.
I'm a brand zombie.
That is a thing.
Brand, are you a zombie too?
Me, Toyota.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
that sort of works. Yeah.
What do you mean?
I mean, I just meant like I thought we were talking like clothing and fashion.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I fully only I choose certain brands and then I attach myself to them. Like they go through a stringent test and then I'm
What
like,
is the
perfect.
test? What is
It's
the
not
test
actually a stringent test.
What was that denim brand that you would buy suits from?
Volcom, which isn't even like denim. They're like a surfer brand.
Okay, so what test did they pass? Well, I want to know this test.
Sure, yeah. Let's think about that. So 20-year-old
I think that's an interesting
Ryan.
question.
Yeah, 20-year-old Ryan, I think, probably in high school, for sure. In high school, I shopped at like fucking American Eagle or the Gap, whatever you could get in Regina.
Do you have a Randy River?
Oh, we had a Randy River.
River's so old school, eh? That's so crazy, dude. I bet you like 90% of our listeners have no idea what Randy River is.
Of course they don't. They changed it to like R2 and then they changed it to something else. There was
R2.
Thrifties.
I forgot about that.
There was Stitches. And like Stitches was just like, now that I'm an adult, I realize Stitches was just like,
I feel like Stitches
knocking
was
off.
Skechers for clothing.
A little bit, but I think they were knocking off kind of like more urban brands. I think I realized after, which is very funny. But listen, sorry, I met some people that worked at a snowboard shop through mutual friends. I became friends with them. They would hook me up with deals, so I would go in and I would buy certain brands that they recommended because they knew about stuff. They were in the know of that scene, and I trusted them. So to tie it back to the episode, just so we know, they were accredited, like my friend Gerard, who's recently updated his Facebook profile.
Very accredited.
Very accredited. Snowboarders in Saskatchewan. No, and so I started buying those things, and I really liked it. And you know what? People were nicer to me when I had those clothes.
Oh, people were nicer. Let's talk about that.
Oh,
do clothes make the man?
A little bit, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
anyway, so
dumb
continue.
To say
I wasn't trying to ruin your story.
No. It's one of those things where it's like you wear that. I saw a meme once where it was like, if you ever compliment like a white male in his late 20s on anything, he'll just buy all of that and wear it for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, that flannel looks nice. And it's like all of a sudden, all you do is wear flannel. And you make that your personality. Is
that you? Or?
Yeah, so I think probably a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I don't wear as much flannel as I used to, but yeah, I don't know. You start realizing that you can spend a little bit more money and get something that's a little bit better made, maybe something that fits a bit better. Not that like it's crazy like Gerard's fucking crazy raw denim stories or whatever he was. I am a loyalist to things, so if something treats me well, I will be dedicated to that thing. So yeah, I still wear Volcom jeans, which is hilarious, but I know what cut I wear. I know what size they are. I tried on some different pants just a few days ago, and I'm like, not for me. Just Volcom jeans. And yeah, so the test is always like kind of, if you're going to wear something, it's going to say something about you. Even if it doesn't, even if you don't intend it to, that says something about you. We make choices of how we spend our money, and how we spend our money says something about you. That's just how our society works. If that wasn't the case, we would all listen to Tyler Durden in Fight Club and just wear leather pants because they would last us forever. But that's not what we do. We buy things to project an image of who we are or who we want to be. And so the Mooneyes stuff is exactly what you're saying. It's been around car culture, has ties to Japan. So I probably wear it because I've been around car culture for a very long time, and I like Japanese car culture. So that's my stringent long story test, Kevin.
I mean, honestly, there are so many things that say so much shit about you that we could just keep going on that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've talked about it before, where like I'd get out of the Echo and I just feel like a piece of shit, and like it's like no matter how nice your clothes were or whatever, you just feel like a piece of shit.
I swear to God, I almost got into an other altercation in the Prius this weekend.
With an Echo?
No, with a Nissan. I was in the Prius, and a dude in a Nissan pickup truck was honking at me for no reason.
Typical.
And then
Nissan
I parked,
driver.
and I got out, and I was like, I could jaywalk or I could walk up to the light. And I walked up to the light, and as I was walking up to the light, the guy was rolling down his window because he had already honked and made angry hand gestures at me, and I was like, fuck, I guess I got to argue with this guy. And then the light changed.
Now you're just walking, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I guess I'm gonna have fucking weird. I'm gonna get hurt eventually because I'm gonna have to fight someone. But anyway, the light changed and he had to drive away. But I was just, again, I can't stress enough. You drive a Prius and people are shitty to you. Anyway.
So I used to really like this jean brand. So I used to shop at this store called Magnet.
And then like normal people started showing up in diesel shirts, and I was okay, this isn't for me anymore.
No.
The
Okay, so there's a brand.
Discovered diesel, and they like diluted the diesel brand, and now they're selling it.
Wasn't this was even before that. So they used to shop at this store called Magnet, whatever, and they had these jeans called Gerbeau. So they had these Gerbeau jeans. It's Marie-François Gerbeau, and anyways, they had these jeans that copied them. So their sort of signature thing was they almost had like two waistlines, and then halfway down the crotch, it had a little tag that said Gerbeau. If you might actually know this, Ryan, in a lot of old rap videos, they talk about Gerbeau jeans. It's pretty funny. And so I kind of like it. They sort of fell off the planet. But recently I saw like an ad for them, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? Like Gerbeaus. I remember those. Like I had like 3-4 pairs. I thought they were really cool, and they had like all these like really weird fucked up styles. The pockets were sort of so in the second like line.
You sent me this.
Yeah, I sent you this. Anyway, so then they had sort of like the second line, and the pockets were part of it, and then they had the like little fucking like label on like right where your dick is. Basically, they had a little that says Gerbeau. But a cheap brand copied these. They were called Request jeans back in the day. But anyway, so the whole point of the story was I didn't know that they were like a big thing, but recently on Instagram I saw that dude that like collects like vintage like fashion wear or whatever, and he had those crazy Gerbeau jeans or pants, and then he's like, oh, these are vintage runway Gerbeaus. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, they're like super expensive, and then they had all those crazy styles. Anyways, they got really big, and then they went broke and they closed down, and now it's like some weird Korean fucking company. It's like only sold in Korea or some shit. So
that
it's
is
just funny.
kind of a story of a lot of like fashion boutique things where it's like they
I can't remember. I read the whole story, but I can't remember why, but they totally just like absolutely went fucking broke, but they got huge. They were like a million, like, $10-20 million a year fucking business or some shit like that back in the 90s and maybe even 2000. Then they just absolutely
probably the same thing that happened to Von Dutch.
Yeah, Von Dutch. Remember when Von Dutch was fucking huge? Like everybody had Von Dutch.
Dude, I feel like that was like Juicy Couture times or whatever,
Yes.
Yeah, but the crazy thing was Von Dutch was actually cool, but like it was so popular with douchebags that it became so uncool. You know what I mean?
Well, that's what they said. They diluted the brand too much, and then they brought in the Ed Hardy guy, the Christian blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and then he diluted it because it was like sell to everything and everyone. There's a whole documentary about it, and there's a lot of shit behind the scenes with Von Dutch.
All right, now we're just going to play the documentary, guys. I hope you enjoy the next 2.5 hours. Just listen in, and we're going to play that documentary now.
It's a series. We'll act it out. We'll do a radio, an old-time radio show.
Oh, the humanity!
We'll do War of the Worlds, do you know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Orson Welles.
Okay. Yeah, there you go, Kevin. All right. So
I feel like I was doing
fashion.
I feel like I was doing some even older ass shit
than Orson Welles.
Yeah, like the humanity, like when the fucking Hindenburg crashed.
Oh, but that's not a radio show. That's the news, Kevin.
But that was and the only news was radio.
News radio. 101.
News radio with Phil Hartman. All right, we're really
fucking
getting Joe Rogan. Joseph Rogan. Yeah, Dave Foley. All right.
Andy Dick.
The girl from ER. John Lovitz. Man, we need to stop. Okay.
Yeah, you need to stop.
I can't now. Hey, Gerard, How do you build a lowered car?
In 10
We're not
steps or
going to
less.
start that right now, are we?
Got him.
I imagine though, and I do think it's a great idea, and we'll do it. But I imagine if someone's gotten this far with us, they've already figured out. If someone's buying parts from you, I feel like they've kind of already figured out the majority of
How
the
to build
formula
a lowered car?
Yeah.
I mean, yes and no. I would. First of all,
Let me tell you the 10 steps to why you're wrong.
this sort of subject isn't how to build a lowered car. It's how to build a functional, quote unquote, stance car. Because
And which one
a lot
of
of people
you
have
is the
stance
expert?
cars. A lot
Not
of people
me.
have stance cars, and a lot of people have like whatever.
Yeah, how my fenders are my fenders are always
static
wrecked.
cars.
Because I don't know.
Yeah, but was this here's a question.
Whoa.
Are we going to talk about it? Or are we not going to talk about it?
Sounds like we're talking about it.
Yeah,
Ah,
we're
you
going to talk
wanna
about it
do
until
it?
we're going to talk about it. No, because then we've already talked about a lot of shit on this podcast, and it's a bit of a mishmash. And I really would like to sort of keep those topic podcasts to a topic, and then maybe after we discuss the topic, we could have a bit of bullshit at the end. But like, I
Okay.
would like to maybe have a couple of sort of, what do you call it, regulated podcasts, just to see how they do.
Regulators.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know
no.
what I'm saying?
You
Regulation.
know that's from Young Guns, right? All right. Okay. Sorry. I'm just telling you about pop culture now. Who of you, the two of you, has had the stanciest car?
I mean, it really depends. Kevin had
I'd say the
like,
Blitz.
craziest cambered
I
car.
had the most amount of camber, that would be me, but I'd say like the Blit is the stanciest car that Serial 9 has had. Because the Blit wasn't all that low.
You
The
mean
Blit or
you
the
mean
Celsior?
Sorry, the Celsior. I'm sorry.
I mean,
the
honestly, the
Celsior
Blitz
wasn't
not that low.
Freudian slip, motherfucker. No, I'm joking. Go on.
I mean, the Blitz lower than the Celsior, so
Yeah.
I mean,
that's the
I
thing
don't
is-
know if that's just inherent of the wheels and the things though, because it's like the amount of like fender tuck was pretty similar, but then
Yeah, that's what
the
I'm saying.
Celsior was just on like really wide and large diameter wheels, thus like lifting the entire vehicle off the ground quite a bit. Yeah, no, I'd say the Blit personally.
Dub.
All right.
Yeah.
1 point, Gerard.
We've
What
always
you're
just had
after?
cars that are fitted a certain way. You know what I mean? And like, I feel like maybe I got away with more for longer because I built it a certain way. Like the fenders on the.
Then I disagree.
Oh, I just mean the fenders on the 161 were always perfect, is what I'm saying.
Now we're talking about a
They
different
weren't
car.
like, yeah. Well, I mean, that car was definitely stanced.
You have
And
to,
I mean,
you have to
honestly,
segue that. You have to like tell people, the listeners and the people you're talking to, that we're now talking about a different subject.
Yeah, you're turning back into net Gerard and not harpoon Gerard.
what's the different
I'm
subject? Are we
joking, I'm
talking
joking.
You're
about
talking
most
about the
stanced
No,
cars?
Aristro.
No,
talking
you
about the
Yeah,
just
it's still the
now
same
without-
subject.
Without telling
Yeah.
anybody, you're talking about a different car. You're like, oh, like the fenders. So like, we think you're talking about the Blit fenders. You're talking about the Aristo fenders.
All
so
right.
there's no segue.
But I just said the 161.
He might have said that. Anyway,
I
I
feel
said
like
the
it's-
161. Okay,
feel
sorry.
like
The
161.
Aristo.
At the
The
end
Arist-
of anyway, yeah.
just call it a right-hand G.
Yeah, just call your GS, bitch.
Okay,
I'm just
sorry.
saying, as far as the drift
Harpoon.
car goes, it was fairly fitted. It was very stance. And honestly, that car is lower than the Blit is. And the front fenders were fiberglass. And it never had like that fucking ugly ass chunk out of them. So I feel like that's like one way that car was a success. Like to have a car
car was
that
a
low, that fitted, that drift, like it was used. It wasn't just like, you know, a static car that drives down to the road to a fucking car meet with a bunch of guys jerking off. It was like, you know, went to drift events,
Jesus.
went drifting, and had fiberglass front and rear fenders, and all the fenders were always perfect. I mean, I didn't hit anybody. I'm just saying, as far as the car itself driving and, you know, turning and all that shit.
You would think that by now I should be able to have like got that, but it's like I don't really know. It's like it always seems to compress more than you think it would on the bump stop or whatever it is, or like maybe, you know, the tire is bigger than you thought it would
I mean,
be. Or
that's
yeah, I
that's
don't know what it
precisely
is.
why I don't like the Blit right now, because it does rub. I don't like when my fenders rub the fucking tires. I hate that shit. But I mean, we are already talking about the subject, so like, either we stop talking about it or we fucking dive right in.
I thought we were talking.
You want to fucking dive in?
I thought we were answering a question from a viewer, weren't we?
Yeah. I would probably go back in time and buy a bunch of Supras. You know?
I genuinely thought there was like
what.
a question. I genuinely thought there was a question within the last like 3 minutes
Like,
or something that was
who
about.
had the stanciest car?
Yeah,
that
but-
was
I asked
something-
that
just
question.
us.
That was Ryan.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
somebody.
Because Ryan's trying to get us to talk
you.
about the fucking episode when we're not wanting to talk about the episode.
Oh man, you know what it's like? I love that I get to be a Gerard and you get to be me right now. Is what I really like about this.
Role reversal.
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay, so if I had to have a car,
And you
And I
didn't
didn't
own
have
Serial
Serial
9.
but okay, before I
And
owned
you could
Serial
start
9,
over.
I had an X7.
No, you've already said this. Yeah, no, you've already said it. It's yeah. I mean, and
It's a Taycan. Yeah,
and you're not going back in time. It's not. Yeah, we
dude.
haven't.
If I could go back in time,
but that's not. Yeah, okay.
I'd be a
What the hell
luchador,
would I even be doing?
and I'd travel from town to town on tour bus, and have no use for a car.
That's what you would do.
Yeah, I want to be a luchador. That'd be sick.
I used to love asking people if they could travel back into time, what they would
What
do.
time period they would go into?
Yeah, and what they
yeah.
would do.
Yeah.
And my friend had the dumbest fucking answer. He's like, I'd go back to Victorian times and invent the fridge. And we're like, uh-huh. Do
But
you
there's
know
no
how a
electricity
fridge?
yet?
And he's like, do you know how a fridge works? And eventually he was like, no, but I could make food safe by like motivating people to understand
By
that
telling-
they needed to keep their
Telling people just
People that-
you need to keep it cold. I
which
think
then we were like,
you need to go back
yeah,
to like
they've known-
caveman times.
yeah. And then someone was like, I feel like the Romans understood that. So
Yeah.
you just are saying you wanted to be a hype man for the fridge? He's like, I'd be famous. And then the answer was, do you know who invented the refrigerator? And
he
he's like,
didn't?
no
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he wouldn't be famous.
My other friend's really religious, and he was like, I'd go back and meet Jesus. And we're like, you don't speak the language. You would be somebody's bitch so fast.
Jesus.
That's
Sorry, I need to react like you react when Gerard said something that was like mildly offensive,
yeah.
and you're like, Jesus.
Good. That's just what I do. It's a bit.
Oh, it was Gerard saying like, oh, you go to the car show and the people suck your cock for your low car.
Jerk off. They
Yeah, jerk off. Yeah,
It's like-
suck, whatever, you know.
it's just so
Oh, right,
needlessly graphic is the problem. Because as soon as you say that, I'm like, oh.
just because
that's
you're
what
imagining us jerking off, that's your own problem.
Well, I don't think you two are there doing it.
I mean, that's what it sounds like.
There seems like there's faceless individuals there.
I'm so lost right now.
You're lost in the sauce.
I just meant like you go to a car show. There's not a whole lot happening besides guys circle jerking to each other. It's like whose car's more static or lower.
I
Like
mean,
yeah, my car's scraped all the way here, bro. Like look at my fucking wheel fitment. Like
Hilariously, I thought you were gonna re-explain it and use a different term. Like, and they're like tire pumping. Like in my mind, I'm like, oh, Gerard's gonna like
tire pumping. That's a good term.
use it. Yeah, like use a different metaphor for what's going on. And it's like, no, he just like explained what he was doing by using the exact same like words. Because I was about to be like, words matter, context matters, and you're like, oh yeah, they're still jerking off in your metaphor. They're circle jerking now, which is even more graphic than the last
I mean,
time.
that's really all that people do at car meets. You know what I mean? Like that's
They get
really what
excited to see cars. But the thing is you love that. You love when people are excited to see your car.
yeah. I mean, I jerk off at car shows to other people's cars. That's what we do at car shows,
Okay.
isn't it?
Me personally, I get excited to see other people's car.
You know those wheels you're trying to sell?
My MAEs.
No, before the MA.
Oh, yeah,
Why
it
are
works.
you,
Yeah.
why are you selling those?
Because I need something new all the time.
Yeah.
Well, that
Well, I
sounds
want to drive
more
my
like-
car, and I want the power to go to the ground, and I want a different look, man.
All the things I said before the MAs went on.
Yeah, but the
Fuck,
MAEs are
you're
fun.
you're just a car show guy, hey?
Yeah.
No,
Just
that's
wants,
the point.
he
is
just wants to show up to the car show
No,
and
I wanna
everybody
go
suck his
drifting.
dick
Yeah, I mean, sure.
He
I'll
wants
show up
the
and I'll suck
old
his dick.
circle jerk.
I want to be able to take my car and fucking slide it around
and drive it properly. Serial 9 style.
And yeah, like at this point, I don't have the Cresta built. I do have a fully capable drift car that I can drive at almost any time. I just need to make it less fucking stupid. So I figured if I make it sort of into a different look entirely, I can just drive it as it is and be a bit more.
Can't you just put the other wheels you had on it that looked great back on it?
No, it's not an option. Those wheels got to go. Move forward, Ryan. We always move forward. We do not move backwards. We move forwards.
Always forward, never
Yeah.
relenting.
Yeah.
All right. Jesus Christ, Gerard. You're great. Don't ever change. I wanted to share this with you because I thought it was a great analogy that people gather from the podcast and then they meet you and you can take with it as you will. But I thought it was such a great way to explain you as a whole.
Yeah.
So we were drinking with Blaine and I was like, oh, you like got to hang out with Gerard in person. What was that like? And he said, exactly what you think it would be like. And then he said, Gerard is the type of guy. It's like he loves. I'm gonna fuck this up, so you're gonna have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
As the type of guy that likes gear, like anything that you can be into, that he can be more into than the other person. Seems like his type of thing. And then like
100%.
if he can just go get the best thing to be better than you, he'll do that. Anything where he can have the best thing to be better than you. And I was like, that's where I disagree with you. And he's like, oh, go on. And I said, no, Gerard wants the weirdest thing to be better than you. And he was like, I'm like, think about it. And then I said, like, I told Gerard I was medium into coffee, and Gerard sends me coffee shit all the time. And then you sent me the weirdest fucking espresso maker where it was like that lever thing, and you were like, that's the one that I would get. Yeah, it's fucking cool, but it's not normal.
It's
like,
it's the most obscure.
Yeah, it's the most obscure.
I mean, that's really relative because I mean, a lot of espresso makers, they got the AeroPress. I feel like the AeroPress is the fucking craziest one.
That's not an espresso maker though. That's for pour.
It is. It is. AeroPress is an espresso machine.
Oh, that's fun.
Because it generates pressure. Like, I don't know what the technical term of espresso is, but I feel like it requires massive pressure.
I thought you have to pack it into a puck though and stuff.
Yeah, you pack it into a puck, and then which then requires, I don't know how much air pressure, but I think it's like the most peasant espresso maker you can buy. And honestly, like it's the weirdest thing because obviously when I was really into BMX, not really, but like the last time that I was most into BMX, I remember showing up at the fucking BMX shop on like a Saturday morning, and there's of course like 18-year-old BMX kid just rolled out of bed, probably partied last night, whatever it was. But like I remember him, one other guy, and like his girlfriend or the other dude's girlfriend was there, and the biggest deal to them that morning was to make coffee with this fucking AeroPress, and they had the bag and they pulled out the AeroPress, and I was like, what in the fuck is this? Like, that's the weirdest one.
I've seen you do that with coffee. Anyway.
Like when we went to Final Bout or what?
Yeah, and I swear you had like coveralls on or like a apron.
Yeah, honestly, it's funny. I think back to making coffee on our way to Final Bout, and I was like under the trailer with the little fucking stove and my fucking mocha pot and all this shit.
Yeah.
Cuban coffee or whatever, or
yeah,
I have no clue.
Sugar up and shit. But yeah, it was crazy, and I would just make it for myself because nobody else drank coffee. It's like,
you made me a coffee.
I swear, like. Don't Carter and Daryl both drink coffee?
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm the only one who doesn't drink coffee.
It got to the point where I was making coffees for like Carter, and I think
you were so excited. You were, you did, and you were.
Yeah, you had to grind it by hand. I had to grind it.
Yeah, you did a whole thing. Yeah. But that is it. Also, the mocha pot, mocha, whatever. To a lot of coffee people, I know a coffee guy that's like, oh, I'm too intimidated to use that of all the things. It's not that it's the most obscure, but that is a try. Like it's tested, it's true, it makes sense. But you, as a person, you are the. What is the obscure thing that I can do to stunt on you?
What kind of coffee would I have? What kind of coffee person am I?
Probably
Like a K cup,
AeroPress.
like a K cup.
guy.
No,
Yeah.
no. Kevin would be an AeroPress guy for sure. Kevin has nice things.
But I mean, hey, if
Like-
I'm not into coffee at all, then maybe I wouldn't be into AeroPress.
No, but that's the thing. It's like, but if I thought to go back to the question that started this whole podcast. If you could go back and start from the beginning and be
Yeah.
a coffee guy
And be
what
into
type of
coffee?
would you? And be into coffee. AeroPress is like not the biggest level of investment, but
Yeah.
still makes a good cup of coffee.
It's
And
just a
I
bit of
think-
work.
It's a bit of work, and that is Kevin. You know,
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. Yeah.
and then Gerard is this fucking lever thing. That's like,
That sounds like a bit of work too, though.
yeah, it is a bit of work. And Gerard's life is a bit of work. How do you make a blit look cool? How do you make a GX blit be cool? It's a bit of work. How do you make an Aristo be cool? It's a bit of work. He's not shy of a bit of work, but it's
Well,
got to
did
be
you,
obscure work.
Do you know there's a saying, I think it says, what is it? Something like, in the face of adversity, when you emerge on the other side, you see your like true self or something like that. And maybe that's all it is. I just want to build these fucked up cars that are like super hard to build so that I can like be better.
Oh, I was
Stop
going to
that.
say your motto should be work weirder, not harder,
Well, that's pretty funny. I feel like
It's great.
I feel like I like to just work harder.
Yeah,
Yeah, Kevin
Kevin's,
for the longest time was like, just work harder.
Kevin
I still
is
feel
that.
like I feel that way.
I mean, you definitely work a lot smarter than you used to. I remember thinking like, what
yeah.
the fuck is this guy doing?
I think that's because when like that was then, I just didn't know what I was even doing. So it's like I could work really hard, but I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Now at
and
least I
that
know
is-
what I'm doing. So when I know how to apply the hard work, at least a little bit, hopefully.
That's a very important lesson, is like knowing what you're doing. Because
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that are like, hey, if you work hard, everything will work out for you. And it's like, that is not
That's
true.
not true. No.
No.
Yeah, I
totally
could.
not.
And my response is always like, hey, I could go out in the back and just start digging a hole. And I could work really hard at digging a hole.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean it's going to work out for me. At the end of the day, I just end up with a giant hole. What does that
I
mean?
mean, if your goal is to dig a hole, then yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't say what my goal
My goal is to dig a hole.
and like I could dig a hole, but does that put money in my pocket? No, not necessarily. Does that?
I mean, if you're being paid to dig a hole, yeah, maybe. Exactly.
But I'm not.
it's-
I'm just
you're-
out
exactly
back working hard.
working hard. Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway,
So you got to figure out what you're getting paid for, and then work hard at that.
yeah. Although I did tell that guy a rate for photos, and he just stopped messaging.
It's I feel like it's like the Tinder rule, man. Like like you got to throw it out there to 1,500 people
yeah.
in order to get like
That's
15
it.
people.
Gerard, what are you doing? You're Googling cars?
No, sorry, I'm working on the e-brake, but it's okay.
You're
I'm
working-
definitely
oh.
listening.
Are you on Adderall? Like, I don't understand. You were more focused than usual. Like, it's very strange.
yeah.
Well, I mean, honestly, I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
the other day he was like quoting me like podcasts and stuff, and being like, "Hey, have you heard this? Like, like we don't own a business, we own a job. Like, you know what I mean?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, like." Who's
Well, I
Maybe
mean,
we
this?
should get to
who
the
is this-
bottom of this.
Who is this, Gerard? Is Catherine
Yeah,
giving
what's
you
going
Adderall that
on?
you don't know about, or?
Is
I'm just
someone
sick of-
slipping you on
Yeah,
Adderall?
exactly.
No, I'm just
Are you
sick
being
of spinning my
drugged?
fucking wheels, man. I'm sick of it. I want to make money. I want to be more successful than we are.
You're sick of what wheels?
Sick spinning our wheels.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'm sick of like just kind of being
Yeah, just
like where we are.
getting by.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I don't want
say
to get
this.
by anymore. I want to
I wanna
fucking
be
shred.
Want to be balling, yeah.
Yeah,
You're
I want to
like
be a
progressively-
Lamborghini.
If you
not a
got
fucking
Adderall, let
Toyota.
me know because I'll take some Adderall.
Yeah, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Look at
hook me up.
Toyotas.
Okay, I think you are just progressively getting better and better because you're doing more and more, and it's great.
I will bring up a question or
Yeah.
a
Give me a
comment.
question. Yeah.
Comente.
Le Comente was, Hey, boys, another great podcast. I love the fun arguments and the turbo plug at the end. But may I suggest plugging the business more towards the beginning? Not
I was
everyone's
just
going to
gonna
make it
say
till the
that.
end.
I was just going to
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that too, because one of the
And-
things I wanted to do was sort of promote the
Is
show.
there anything else y'all want to talk about? And it's fine if you don't, because God love them. We don't have to.
Because God love him, we can have a short episode, and Ryan also has to edit it on the road.
Yeah, we were meant to. We were going to talk about vacations this time.
That's what I thought we were going to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about travel.
I thought we've talked about travel before.
Oh, yeah, we're talking about travel.
We've
Yeah,
talked.
you went to
We've talked about
Bali,
everything.
Hawaii.
We've talked about everything ever, but
We've talked about food. We've talked about travel, and I talked about going to Europe. People think that I've never been to Europe.
no,
I think
you've
it's
been
so
to Europe.
Great.
I've never
Yo,
been to
you've
Europe.
been to
Europe's
Europe.
great. You've been?
Europa is what they call it. No,
Did you go for your honeymoon or something?
no, I just went for fun. But hey, all right. Yeah, to be fair, I am going on a trip tomorrow. I leave. I'm going to fly to Ottawa, and I'm going
What are
to
you
rent a
doing in
car.
Ottawa?
Renting a
Okay.
car, driving to Montreal. That's what the French call Montreal. And then I'm going to Quebec City.
Oh, sweet.
And then I'm going to go to Maine. And then I'm going to Boston. I don't know. We were going to talk about travel because I was going traveling. And I'm glad that we didn't because I feel like we've already talked about it. But as a quick recap, Gerard, what's the best vacation you've ever been on?
I mean, it depends, man. My honeymoon in Bali was pretty sweet with my wife and just scooting around, me and her. But then that last Costa Rica the last Costa Rica vacation with the whole family and driving around through, and like that was pretty awesome too. I will probably say the Bali one though.
Oh, that's great. Kevin,
Yeah,
what's the
I mean,
best vacation? Oh, go on.
Go on.
I cut you off. No,
That's
you're good.
Yeah. I mean, I think a hard one. I don't know.
Is it hard?
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the most, I guess, exotic or whatever place you've been?
Well, that's not the best. That's just exotic.
Well, I mean, I was just
I don't know.
that would be
Exotic,
the farthest
exotic is good. Exotic is, like, I don't know. That's the thing. I've never been to Europe and I've never been to Asia, so like, it's
time to
not
go.
exactly. It hasn't been that broad or. Yeah, I honestly, like, I don't know, like Drift Week was like super sick and like definitely experience. It wasn't relaxing. And like I feel that I have a problem with that on vacations a lot of the time where it's just like, oh shit, like I'm never like when is the next time I'm ever gonna be here? Might as well do every single thing I can and spend every dollar I can and see everything I can and get zero sleep. And then you get back from your vacation and you had so many experiences, but you're like more tired than when you left. And it's like,
Except when you went to Final Bout, you guys just went to sleep, and Carter and I went into the town at night. Anyways, I'm just kidding.
yeah, I mean, that was like one day, but yeah, I was very happy to sleep that day too. Like we'd been on the road for 5 days, like in that truck. You guys also weren't like, hey, we're going to go out on the town. You're like, we're going to go 5 minutes from the hotel to the closest gas station to buy hot dogs and cigarettes. And we're like, no, we're okay. And then you guys came back like 5 hours later, like, yo, we went downtown. We saw all these sights and like all this shit. And like, it's like, okay. Like,
Yeah. Sorry.
so yeah, a little bit.
Little different.
Even if you were like, hey, we're going to be back in 3 hours, I would have been like, even like more like probably no.
Like, fuck.
Gas up your car. You're going driving for 3 hours in Chicago.
Yeah, I was probably just more happy to just go to bed that night.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like I don't know if it's because it was like a road trip, but I just have so many memories from Drift Week. But
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
even that 2015 Cali trip was fucking pretty sick, man.
dude, that
You've
was
already chose Costa
yeah.
Rica and Bali, pal.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that was the best one, but it was just amazing. That was more of like the best friend vacation I've been on.
Oh, well.
And I haven't really
didn't
been on many of those.
No?
I definitely have. No, I have not been on many friend vacations at all, to be honest. Like I've
I
never
feel like
been
I
to
haven't
Mexico
either.
with my homies.
I feel like
Yeah.
honestly, like I feel privileged, like because like my mom is a travel agent, so like her whole life is traveling all the time. So I've been like I've dragged around is like a weird term to use, but it's just like I've been taking a lot of vacations that like I wouldn't have cared about or gone on if it wasn't for my
Right.
mom working in that industry. So yeah, I do feel very fortunate to have been on like a bunch of trips and like, but yeah, like I said, it's like it's never been to Europe, it's never been to Asia, it's never been to Africa, it's never been to Australia.
It's a very different type of travel.
Yeah.
It's funny because like we were leaving on this trip and I asked Jody, I was like, should I look up things? And she's like, cars and beer. And I was like, what? And she was just like, cars and beer. That's all you really care about. And I was like, huh. All right. So I won't look up anything then. And I was like, she's not wrong. Those are the things that like, we used to travel and I always wanted
I'm sure you're
cars
more
to be involved.
than that.
I mean, am I more than that? You've traveled with me. I don't know if I am more than that. I just like where's decent beer and food, and I'm good. I'm a happy boy. I've said it before on a podcast, and I will say it again. I like seeing things that aren't permanent fixtures, I think, that apply to me. So, Drift Week doesn't happen in the exact same way every year. So we have an experience that nobody else can recreate. That's important. The first time I went to Chicago with my friend Jordan Hall and the Hot Boys is an experience that was before Final Bout. That was for a Club Loose event.
Oh,
that is,
I didn't even remember. Sorry, the Final Bout trip was nuts too. But anyways, go on. That was the first trip.
Well, I mean, we all I went on a lot of friend trips. And so we used to go to SEMA every year, which was always a different experience. We would drive from Saskatchewan to Vegas. That was great. So best trip, though, I don't know. I mean, I really liked my honeymoon. We drove down the coast, went to San Francisco. I saw one of the Gymkhana videos be filmed. We toured around Fat Lace and saw a bunch of shit, which was super cool. But those are the types of things that I remember. So my wife isn't wrong. Cars and beer, good food is what I require for travel. Anyway, I didn't want to ask you guys though, what was your favorite car trip or your favorite trip? Because I thought that would be a very interesting distinction where your mind goes. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Real armchair psychology. Gerard picked nice family things, as his Facebook would indicate, and
yeah,
Kevin. I'm kind of with Kevin. Drift Week was super cool. So I mean, I get that too. I'm not.
If you would say like car trip, it feels weird, but like honestly, Penticton was like a trip, if you will, because like I drove up 100% by myself. Like not a other car with me convoying or anything. I made it up there, like met up with so many people. You know what I mean? Like felt like when I was in Penticton, we were like running around with like a group of 10 people at all times, and then drove home completely by myself again, same thing, like basically into the night and home. Yeah, it's just like a weird, crazy, visceral experience to like that whole weekend.
Like this year.
Done a few of those.
Yeah, this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, this year's
was. Sorry, not this weekend.
Agree.
This year. Yeah.
I mean, I agree. This year's event was, pretty memorable. More so than like other years, I think. A lot of them blend together.
To me, like the drive was so memorable. Like to me,
yeah, I've done that drive. That's one of my favorite parts about going to Penticton was I always drive up in the night by myself, and I drive home by myself in the night, and it's fucking amazing. I've done a couple. I've done one in the Xterra, I did one in the Stagia, and I think I might have done two in the Xterra. And yeah, it was like it's fucking something else, man.
You did one in the QX.
No, I've never been to Penticton in the QX.
No, was it the Pajero?
Oh yeah, I did do one in the Pajero. You're right. I had Kat with me, so it was different. It wasn't like a driving into the night.
All out blitz, yeah.
I don't know, man. It's like as much as I love passengers,
when you drive by
not the
yourself, yeah, you just honestly, that's what I love about Ryan. I'm just like, yo, I'm not eating. And he's like, okay. I'm like, do you have to pee? He's like, nope.
it's not even.
Although
yeah,
I did get you to eat last time at a shitty restaurant.
But you also were like, no, we don't have to eat. And I'm like, no, man, you want to eat. You need to eat. You haven't eaten. You're like, okay. I could have been like, no, man, we're going across the border. We're not stopping. And you would have been like, okay, yeah. You know.
Yeah, what a great experience that restaurant was.
Hey, you got a free beer.
Yeah, here's a flat beer.
I was Ryan's outspoken girlfriend.
Yeah, it was great. I was given a flat beer, and then I was like, I think my beer, and like Cedric was the one that figured it out. He was like,
oh, really?
I think your beer is flat. And I was like, oh, I just thought it was really, really, really bad. And then like the server came by and was like, oh, is everything okay? And it's like, I think my beer is flat. She's like, yeah, we're out of like CO2. And I'm like, it's not good. And she's like, yeah. And Kevin just pipes up. He's like, is that not a thing you don't tell people when they order the beer?
And then they were like, we took it off your bill.
Yeah. Like,
yeah, you better take it off my bill.
All right.
Hey.
I feel like we got what we needed here. We didn't jump off the deep end and start answering Gerard's questions. Hey, is there anything that today's podcast is brought to us by?
Ah, shit. Yeah, today's broadcast is brought to you by
SerialNine.
Buy some stuff.
Hey, just go to the website. Look, if you like what you hear, tell your friends, share it. Or, like I said, there's a place where you can review podcasts. That would be great. We'd love that.
Also, on Spotify, you can just ask a question about every podcast.
Oh, that's fun. I like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, be involved. This is always better when people are involved in the conversation. And I think today is a perfect example of that. We were asked a question and then we spiraled out of control till we got to this point. So that's great. We journeyed to the heart of darkness and back.
Nice.
Anyway, I appreciate everyone that listens to the podcast. If you like what you hear, look, we're probably not going to start our own Instagram page for the podcast because SerialNine exists and has a Instagram page. I imagine you're already following it, but if not, go do that. It's beautifully curated with obscure and cool things, as one would imagine. And go to the shop, find a thing you like, click the old buy button, and live your best life. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back.
Thank you very much.
2 weeks.
Sweet dreams.
So long.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9.